Good day, grade 12s. Welcome to another lesson with KHUMALO.M, the Geography Sangoma. I am so happy to be with you today, grade 12s, because we are going to do something fantastic today. As you can see, we are going to be looking at the answers of the trial examination. I wonder how the trial examination paper 1 was. You wrote your trial examination paper 1 on the 6th of September 2023, and grade 12s, I want you to comment on this video. How was the paper according to you? We are going to look at all the answers from question 1 to question 3. We are going to look at everything. Without a wastage of time, grade 12, let's go into it. Now, grade 12s, when you open your paper, there are always instructions. So there were instructions that were given, such as that you have two sections. Section A with question 1 with climate and weather, 60 marks. You wrote question 2, geomorphology, 60 marks. Section B, it was your geographical skills and techniques for 30 marks. The other instruction was to say, answer all the 3 questions. You were supposed to answer all the 3 questions. All diagrams were included in the question paper, are always included there. Leave a line between the sub questions and of the questions that are answered. So this page is very, very important, grade 12s. These were your instructions, but nevertheless, most of them, they are similar in all your papers. So you have to just know these ones. Without a wastage of time, I'm going to move in to question 1. Question 1, grade 12, this is where our section A started, climate and weather and geomorphology. So here in question 1.1, it says complete the statement in column A with the options in column B. Write down only Y or Z, not the term, but you write either Y or Z. That was an instruction next to the question number 1.1.1 to 1.1.7 in the answer book. Then you were given an example that 1.1.8 is Y, to show you how your answers, you should put them, not to write the full word, but Y or Z. So now let's look at the first question, 1.1.1. The refers to an area that does not receive perpendicular sunlight. The correct answer there will be Z, and in Z, what do we have there? The shadow zone. 1.1.2, at night, air on the valley cools rapidly due to radiation. Conventional at Y. Z, it says terrestrial. So the answer there is terrestrial radiation. Now, 1.1.3, if the dew point temperature is below freezing point in a valley, water vapor condenses directly into a pocket. It is directly to what, grade 12? 1.1.3, it is directly to frost pocket. We don't have fog pocket, we have the frost pocket. That was simple. 1.1.4, in the mountainous regions of Cape Town, people tend to build their houses on the facing slope. This question didn't want you to go to Cape Town, grade 12s. They are just asking you because you know that Cape Town is in South Africa, and you know your slope aspect, that the north-facing slopes, they are the ones that are going to be heated. So now the answer to 1.1.4, it is Y, which is what? The north-facing slope. Remember, Cape Town is in South Africa, in the southern hemisphere. So we know that in the southern hemisphere is the north-facing slope. You didn't have to go to Cape Town. I'm sorry if you thought that you have to go to Cape Town, but you were not supposed to go to Cape Town, but you're just supposed to know where Cape Town is. 1.1.5, a warm layer of air with cold air above and below it causing an inversion is known as. So 1.1.5, it is what, grade 12? 1.1.5 is Z there. What do we have there in Z? Thermal belt. Very good. It was very easy. You cannot choose frost pocket. The only answer that was correct there, it was thermal belt. Very good. 1.1.6, plants that require more sunlight when in winter, they grow best on the facing slope in the northern hemisphere. Right now we are talking about the northern hemisphere, not the southern hemisphere, the northern hemisphere. So this becomes the opposite of 1.4. So which is what, grade 12? Y. And what is Y? That is the south facing slope. Now 1.1.7, the area of a valley which receives direct sunlight in winter is known as Y, the zone of incidence that receives direct sunlight. So it receives direct sunlight, so that is the zone of incidence. That was it for 1.1. For question 1.1. I hope you've aced it in the exam. If you didn't, you have to go back and study this grade 12 because you still have an opportunity in the final examination. 1.2 grade 12, I hope you all see here. It says refer to the synoptic weather map below. Now, various options are provided as possible answers to the following questions. Choose the answer and write only the letter A to D next to the question numbers. 1.2.1 to 1.2.8 in the answer book. For example, 1.2.9 is A. So you are supposed to write alphabet in terms of these. You are supposed to write alphabet. Now, here is a diagram that you've given. So everything you are asked here, you come and interpret it from this synoptic weather map that you have been provided with them. 1.2.1, the pressure cell at A is, so the answer there is C, the Kalahari high pressure cell. So that's the Kalahari high pressure cell. I just wanted you to know the location. Remember, we said always know the location. 1.2.2, the direction of the surface air circulation around pressure cell B is. So it's a circulation around pressure cell B. So the answer there is B. It is anti-clockwise. Remember, these are high pressure systems, and it is what do we call it? The air circulation is anti-clockwise. 1.2.3, the area of elongated high pressure cell at sea is. Remember, we spoke about this. It is a ridge. There the answer says A. So it's the ridge. And then 1.2.4, weather system D develops because of the impact of the Coriolis force on the air movement between the cell. Now, 1.2.4, it is between the polar high pressure cell and the subpolar low pressure. So the answer there, it was A. 1.2.5, the map shown below is an example of a synoptic map, weather map, because of the rainfall experience over Cape Town. So this is a new way of asking questions in geography. So we wanted to see that if you're given two possible correct answers, and which pair is correct. So the correct pair there, it was C, which is number 2, which is winter, and what? And what, grade 12s? It says 2 and 3. So 2 and 3, so it's winter and frontal. Very good. Then we go to 1.226, weather system D usually brings conditions to Cape Town in winter. So the answer there to 1.2.6 is C. It brings cold and rainy conditions to Cape Town. So the weather system, so these weather systems, the mid-latitude cyclone is there. The weather system D. There you can see that's your mid-latitude cyclone. So it brings cold and rainy air conditions to Cape Town. The weather conditions associated with pressure cell A. There, pressure cell A, we said it's a Kalahari pressure. So the weather conditions there, 2.7, it's D. It's dry conditions with clear skies. That's the characteristics of high pressure systems. Now 1.2.8, the pressure at the center of pressure cell E is than 1004 millibars and moves from along the coastline. Another question that is similar to 1.2.5, where we have two pairs of answers that are correct. Our correct answer there is B, that says 1 and 4. 1 and 4, let's see. 1, it says lower, and 4 says what? West to east. So that's a mid-latitude cyclone. We know it travels west to east. That is correct. And then 1, it's low. It's the pressure is low. It's lower. So it's correct. That's it. That was another short objective question, grade 12. Then we move to question 1.3. Now, in question 1.3, grade 12, I want you to pay attention to different things that I'm going to show you here. Now, grade 12, I know that some in previous question papers back to 2018, 2017, some of them they don't have most of them they don't have infographics. So they have introduced what is called an infographic. An infographic is where you get different sources which you are going to interpret to answer questions that follow. So now here is a tropical cyclone Gombe below. Now we have to refer to this tropical cyclone Gombe. So now I want to start here, grade 12s. Let me start with the satellite. This one is a satellite image. You can see I've written for you there. It's a satellite image of a tropical cyclone showing what? The clockwise air circulation. That tells us that it is in the southern hemisphere. And then another thing that I have, another source, is this map. This map, it's a diagram showing the path of the tropical cyclone that it travels within a specific date. So we've got different dates. It tells us how this tropical cyclone moved from the day it started up until the 15th of March or whatsoever. Then here we have an article or a text that explains the effects and the impacts and consequences that this tropical cyclone has caused in this particular area. Last but not least, this is a very important one again, the region and the country. So the country is Mozambique, which is the region there or the country that this tropical cyclone is taking place in. The name of the tropical cyclone, which tells us the number of cyclones that have occurred. So Gombe, it tells us how many tropical cyclones have occurred. We know that we look at the first letter there, the first letter there on what of the name of the tropical cyclone. Now, I believe that you have read this. I'm not going to read that to save time. I'm just going to go to questions. Now, 1.3.1, it says how many cyclones have occurred before tropical cyclone Gombe. Now this question, guys, you must be well aware of this and you must read it carefully, because they say that have occurred before. When they say before, they didn't want you to include Gombe, so it is before Gombe. So it's A, B, C, D, E, F, that is 6. 6 tropical cyclones have occurred before Gombe, because Gombe, letter G, is the 7th alphabet. So they say before, then it is 6. If they said including Gombe, it was going to be 7. So if you have written 7 or you have written another number that I don't even know, be aware. This is a simple question that you can get simple 1 mark, but learners made a lot of mistakes. So read the question carefully. It says before, not including Gombe. They said before Gombe. So obviously it's going to be 6. That is why my answer there, it is 6. 1.3.2, according to the infographics. Now they direct you. According to the infographic, what is the specific evidence fueling the intensity of tropical cyclone in the Indian Ocean? Now, fueling. Now, to fuel is to give it energy. Now, that provides that moisture and fuel so that it can move faster and it can be intense. To be intense, it may be stronger. So, let's see what the answer is. It's climate change and the warming of the Indian Ocean. These answers, we got them from where? From the infographics. Those are the answers I've got from the infographics. So the answer there, it was climate change, or you could have written warming of the Indian Ocean. Some of you got it right, some of you didn't get it right because you didn't read and you didn't check the infographics. 1.3.3, provide evidence from the satellite image which suggests that tropical cyclone Gombe has reached the stage of maturity. Now, on that satellite that I've shown you, you saw that there is a presence of an eye. That is one mark there. 1.3.4, discuss why tropical cyclone Gombe will decrease in intensity once it reaches the coastal of Mozambique. Obviously, grade 12, we know when the tropical cyclone reaches land, it's going to dissipate, it's going to degenerate. Now, so here you are supposed to discuss. The exam verb or the action verb there is to discuss. To discuss, you write in full sentences explaining why. So now the reason is the frictional drag occurs when the cyclone reaches land. There is loss of source of moisture once the cyclone is over land because it's no longer on the ocean. It does not receive more moisture anymore. Therefore, it is going to decrease in intensity. Less latent heat will be available. The atmospheric pressure will increase. Then the pressure starts increasing because now it's on the land, and now this tropical cyclone has reached land. So those are the answers that you could have written there. Then we've got 1.3.5. Now 1.3.5 grade 12, it says explain two weather elements of tropical cyclone Gombe indicated in the infographic that may have resulted in the damage caused to the infrastructure. So two weather elements. Now, which are those elements? You're looking at precipitation, you're looking at winds, we are looking at any element that is associated with weather. Let's see what you're supposed to write. Strong winds will damage the electricity poles. Strong winds will blow off the roofs of the houses and buildings. Torrential or heavy rainfall will flood the buildings. Heavy rainfall results in flooding that will cause damage to buildings. Heavy rainfall. So these are different answers that are given. So you are supposed to just write two so that you can get full marks. You write two in full sentences. So the other one says heavy rainfall and flooding will result in short circuits in electricity. Flooding will result in erosion and erosion of tarred roads. The roads will crack and they'll be washed away. Heavy runoff will flood the sewage system and damage the water pipes. Lightning can damage electricity poles. Lightning can cause fires that can damage the infrastructure. The hail can now here, what was the critical part that you were supposed to look at? Is the what? The weather elements. That's the first thing. So you are supposed to look at the weather, to focus on weather elements, which is rainfall, lightning, which is part of precipitation, and strong winds. Now, but one of the important things there, grade 12, was the word infrastructure. So some of you find that you have written other answers such as that animals will die. And no, grade 12. Now, this question wanted what? Infrastructure. So you are supposed to focus only on infrastructure, not the environment and not socially, but infrastructure. So it has to do with road, transport, and communication networks. 1.3.6, this was the last question in question 1.3 of tropical cyclone. Suggests two precautionary strategies that can be implemented in this area to reduce the possible damage caused to the infrastructure during the tropical cyclone by flooding, as mentioned in the articles. Now, two strategies that can be implemented. Now, from question 1.3.5, now we have talked about how this infrastructure can be damaged. Now, what are the possible solutions? That's what you were asked. Now, here is my answer then. Use stronger building materials to build homes, which is buildings. Avoid construction in low-lying areas, those in low-lying areas in floodplains, because they can be easily flooded. Maintain or repair roads for easy evacuation. Maintain water system to reduce damage. Always also construct better roads that can withstand heavy rainfalls. Construct cleaning schools on areas not prone to flooding. Improve construction and maintenance of basic infrastructure such as electricity. Put sandbanks and barriers to prevent flooding. So those were the possible answers that you could have written in 1.3.6. So the question 1.3.6 was a follow-up question of 1.3.5. So I hope you understand. Any question, you can put it there on the comment section of this live video. Let's go to 1.4 and see what was happening in question 1.4. Now in question 1.4, grade 12, you were given, it's a mid-latitude cyclone here. Study the information below. Warning of severe weather. Again, I'm not going to read because you have read. You'll also read in your question paper. I'm just going to go straight into the questions and answers so that I can explain, because we don't have time. Now, 1.4.1, identify the weather system shown in the diagram of which the cold front forms as part. So, the mid-latitude cyclone, or the frontal depression, temperature depression, and extratropical cyclones. So identify the weather system shown on the diagram on which the cold front forms as part. So it forms as part of the mid-latitude cyclone. So the correct answer that you could have written there is mid-latitude cyclone, or you can write a frontal depressions or whatsoever, but it's a mid-latitude cyclone, so you can write it in other names that are used for mid-latitude cyclone. 1.4.2, what is the main reason why these weather systems are more prevalent or common over Cape Town during winter, as shown in the article? Now, the pressure systems follow the latitudinal position of the sun. In winter, the pressure cells moves north, which moves the mid-latitude cyclone further north. Then 1.4.3, draw a labeled free diagram. So before I can go to 1.4.3 grade 12, listen, now this had to do with why is it prone in winter? Because remember, the two high pressure systems are situated in their northern position, so it allows the mid-latitude cyclone to move across the interior. So it's still correct if you also wrote it like that. Let's go to 1.4.3 grade 12. It says, draw a label free hand cross section through the cold front indicated as A on the diagram. Indicates the weather elements preceding the front on the cross section diagram. Now, here's the diagram that you're supposed to draw. You got a 1 mark for the clouds, you got the 1 mark for the precipitation there. For drawing the tall cumulonimbus clouds, it was 1 mark. And then rainfall is for precipitation, 1 mark, and then indication of warm air, there is 1 mark. So that's how you got the 3 marks. Some of you might have written weights then. Then we move to question 1.4.4. Identify the type of clouds that will develop at B on the diagram. Now, that will be cumulonimbus clouds. We know that the cold front is associated with the tall cumulonimbus clouds. Now, 1.4.5, it says, explain how the weather system identified in question 1.4.1 resulted in the development of cloud B. Now, the fast moving cold air rapidly uplift warm air ahead of it. Now, remember, grade 12, I said to you in previous lessons that the cold air is faster than the warm air. So the fast moving cold air rapidly, it uplifts, it undercuts the warm air and causes it to be uplifted, the warm air to be uplifted. Now, the warm air cools down rapidly because of what? Adiabatic heating. Now, adiabatic heating, what does it mean? It means that for every 100 meter, the temperature increases with 1 degree Celsius. So warm air, as it is moving, it is decrease, it cools down at the adiabatic heating. The high level of condensation takes place and cumulonimbus clouds develop. So this is how the formation of those tall cumulonimbus clouds have formed for 4 marks then. Now 1.4.6, predict the impact of the weather elements of this weather system on farming as it passes over Western Cape. Sorry. Now grade 12, I want you to understand something here, is that now they didn't say whether it is positive or negative impact. So this question was so open to you so that you can write negative and positive. So, but I told you in the previous lessons that we only have what? The mid-latitude cyclone having the positive and the negative. The tropical cyclone does not have a positive. It is very dangerous. That one can kill you. Don't play with that one. But this one, we've got a few positive that were accepted in this trial examination. Now, negative impacts can be very cold temperatures may damage crops or kill livestock. Snowfall may damage crops and kill livestock. Floods may destroy livestock and crops. Soil erosion may take place when soil is washed away by floods. Heavy rainfall make it difficult to work in the fields. Strong winds will damage the crops. Strong winds can erode fertile soil. Hail can damage crops and livestock. Then flooding can damage agricultural infrastructure. So those are the negative factors that you could have written. Remember, they must always be in full sentences because the examination verbs, they require these answers in full sentences. The positive that you could have referred to: increased rainfall results in availability of water for farming. You can say water in the dams, increase water in dams, or availability of water. Cold temperatures can kill pests, and low temperatures can be an advantage for certain winter crops. For those crops that do not require heat, that can sustain frost, the frost resistant crops may be planted on during that system as it is moving over Western Cape. So that was it for your mid-latitude cyclone. Another tip, grade 12, mid-latitude cyclone, tropical cyclone, they are our daily bread. They are always in the exam. So these two, you must know them as you know your name, or you know your surname, or whatever. Doesn't matter. But you must know it. You must know it, because if you don't know it, hey, you will fail. Oh, you will rewrite next year June and fail twice squared. Okay, let's look at question 1.5. Forgive me for my diagram, but I believe that you will see this diagram in your question paper, and then you will refer as long as you can see the answers. I was trying to make sure that the answers and the questions are there available at the correct time. Now, this was urban heat island. So question 1.5 said refer to the infographics on the urban heat island. Oh, the examiners, they love infographics. So we are infographicing now. Now 1.1.5, there you are going to read the diagram as you get it, because you've read it in the exam. You're going to read it and link it with these answers that I'm going to give you today. Now 1.5.1, what is the temperature over the central business district, the CBD, in the temperature profile diagram? So the temperature there was 23 degrees Celsius. So this is what you are supposed to just go there and take, grade 12. You just go there is the CBD at A. You just go there and take that the reading. You can see it's 23 degrees Celsius. So it was easy. Even my my little daughter can do that from crash. 1.5.2, according to the article, why will an urban heat island develop at A rather than C? Now, why will it develop here at A, and why will it develop here, not develop here at C? Now, you can see, grade 12s, and remember the elements that you have taught you, the things that you have taught you. Now, there is the CBD at A. There is it's more like rural areas. Yes, it's written rural areas there at C. Now, according to the article, why will urban heat island develop at A rather than C? More pavements at A in the city compared to rural areas, because we know that pavements, they absorb heat. More buildings concentrated in one area at A, which is a city, than in a rural area at C. lack of greenery in the city. Greenery is vegetation, trees, and yeah, that city greening, compared to more vegetation that is found in the rural areas. That was very simple. Give one reason for the lower temperature experienced over the park area at B. Now, the less temperatures is due to less, that's an opposite of 1.5.2. So it's less concrete surface that will absorb and release heat. The vegetation absorbs heat, carbon dioxide, and lowers the temperatures. There is evapotranspiration that lowers temperatures. Vegetation release oxygen, which is a cooling agent which lowers the heat. Vegetation and parks allows free movement of air that will reduce heat. Vegetation provides shades with lower temperatures. Now, 1.5.4 says refer to the temperature graph and give a reason why the temperature of the urban heat island is lower at night than during the day. Now, we come to this one. Here, the answer is more activities happen during the day, which results in higher temperatures. Guys, simple. Less activities during the night results in low temperatures. During the day, higher heat absorption by urban surface. So there is what? Higher heat absorption during the day, less insulation at night, and more insulation during the day. A lower or higher albedo will result in temperature differences. More terrestrial radiation at night will lower temperatures. Come on, guys. This was very easy also. Then we go to last question of question 1. Then we'll be done with the climate and weather. They said, explain in a paragraph of approximately 8 lines how the development of features using natural material in the cities can be used to reduce the urban heat. Now, we know that artificial surfaces, grade 12s, they absorb heat. And now we don't want them to absorb heat because it's going to cause this urban heat island. Now, let's see what were we supposed to do in that paragraph of approximately 8 lines. Now, they say, explain in a paragraph of approximately 8 lines how the development of features using the natural materials in cities can be used to reduce the urban heat. What can we do? Can we do in the development of features in the cities using natural materials to reduce the urban heat island effect? Now, you develop more parks or natural vegetation will absorb heat. So when you develop more parks, then those trees are going to absorb heat because they need heat under the process of photosynthesis. More vegetations in parks will reduce the temperature through transpiration. Introduce roof gardens to reduce the temperatures through transpiration. Open water surfaces will absorb the heat and reduce the temperature. These examples such as your I don't know what they call these things, that it's a pond or what, I don't know what they call it, where there is water coming out. I'm just going to say open water surfaces. So the water or open water surfaces will help us with absorbing heat. So you can go to mainland Maine and find that and see that one and other places that have those nice artificial surfaces, natural surfaces. Now, evaporation of water will reduce the temperature. So we remember that when the water is heated, it's going to change into gas and then it's going to reduce the temperatures. The use of thatched roofs instead of tiles or zinc will reduce the absorption of and the release of the heat. So that we should stop using the tiles and the zinc. So rather use the thatched roofs. Use of natural building materials in construction. So when we construct, we rather use natural building materials. Now, grade 12, that was your question 1 on paper 1 that you wrote on the 6th. Those are the corrections. I hope that you understand why you were supposed to give such an answer, why, and if you don't understand, write a comment there in the video and then I will answer you. Now, let's look at question 2, the geomorphology part. Now, here are the short objective questions. 2.1 says, Various options are provided as possible answers to the following questions. Choose the answer and write only letter A to D next to the correct question number. For example, 2.1.8 is D. Now, the first question says the feature that develops at B at the waterfall below is the C, the plunge pool. There you can see it in the diagram there. I don't think there is a problem with that one. It was a simple, straightforward question. 2.1.2, the natural levee is formed by the answer there is C. It is formed by a rapid deposition of sediments on the banks of the river. And then 2.1.3, a floodplain is an area in the of a river which experiences flooding during the periods of discharge. So here is another question that has two pair of answers that are correct, which is the correct answer there, which is D. That says 1 and 4. 1 is lower cost, 4 is high. So 1 is lower cost, 4 is high. That was the answer that you were supposed to write there, grade 12. Now we'll go to 2.1.4. So 2.1.3, 2.1.3 we said D, 2.1.4. Now it says braided stream develop in the river's lower course due to that is due to what, grade 12? That is due to the increased deposition. That is A. Now 2.1.5, identify the fluvial feature. What is the fluvial feature below here that is shown on this diagram? What is this feature? The answer there to 2.1.5 is B. What is B? B says a meander. Very good. 2.1.6, the following sketch represents the formation of A or N. Now 2.1.6, the answer is D. It shows the formation of an oxbow lake. Now 2.1.7, a delta can be described as the answer there is A plane view that forms at the mouth of a river caused by deposition. So the answer there was supposed to be A. I hope no one has a problem with that one. Let's go to 2.2. 2.2 says, refer to the diagram below, read the following statements and choose the appropriate words in brackets which will make the statements true. Write down only the question number 2.2.1 to 2.2.8 and the answer in your answer book. For example, 2.2.9 decreased. Now, what is this topic? This is stream piracy, river capture. So now you obviously are going to have two diagrams, before capture and after capture. Now, let's see the questions. 2.2.1, stream A is the capture or the captured stream. So stream A is a capture stream. Stream A is the capture stream. That means stream A is the one that is stealing water from that intercepts water from stream B. Now 2.2.2, lateral or headward erosion is dominated BR. We know that when we talk about stream piracy, we talk of headward erosion. That is simple and straightforward. 2.2.3, river C is identified as the misfit stream because it is too small. It is too small for its valley. So that's a misfit stream. So the answer there is small. 2.2.4, the elbow of capture at D is characterized by a 90-degree bend. A 90-degree bend. So at D, it is characterized by a 90 degrees bend. So there is a 90-degree bend there. Now, 2.2.5, E is known as the E is known as the wind gap. A possible cause of river capture is the isostatic upliftment, not reduced discharge. No. Now, If guys you didn't understand the isostatic upliftment, you were supposed to look at the reduced discharge. Remember, we can't say river capture takes place when there is reduced discharge. That will be wrong, because there is rejuvenation that is taking place that leads to stream piracy. So that makes that answer to be wrong and only left with isostatic uplift. 2.2.7. After capture, river A will now river A will increase in volume after capture. So river A, which is the one that is which is intercepting the other river, so it will increase in volume. 2.2.8, river C will have a smaller drainage basin after capture because it is the captured stream. I think that was simple and straightforward, grade 12s. Then we go to question 2.3. Question 2.3, it has to do with the process of river rejuvenation, where we know that river rejuvenation is the process where the river regains its energy. Now, you were given 3 diagrams there. 2.3.1, choose the correct option in brackets. River rejuvenation is when the erosive power of a river increases, resulting in an increase of what? Vertical erosion. So there's an increase in vertical erosion. The correct answer there, it was vertical erosion. 2.3.2, determine the cause of river rejuvenation as shown in the diagram. It is the drop in sea level, or the sea level drops, or you can say a drop in sea level, as it is shown there that there is a drop in the sea level. 2.3.3, explain how river rejuvenation results in the formation of the terraces at A. Through the increased vertical erosion results in deeper valleys of another answer you can say results in deeper valleys on the flooding plain. 2.3.4, identify the landform at B associated with river rejuvenation. What is that? A waterfall, or a neck waterfall, or a neck point. So any of those answers is correct. 2.3.5, it says describe how erosion causes landform B to retreat, which is to move upstream over time. The headward erosion will occur, causing the position of the waterfall to move upstream. So we know that the headward erosion will play in effect here. Then there'll be you can also say the undercutting at the base of the waterfall will occur, resulting in the position of the waterfall to move upstream. The plug pool will deepen, causing the cliff to collapse, causing the waterfall to move upstream. So those are the possible answers for 2.3.5. Then the last question there, it says predict how the narrowing of the original floodplain will negatively impact agricultural activities. So here we just have to predict how this narrowing of the original floodplain will negatively impact. So it is effects that are not good, which is negative. Floodplain will narrow, therefore there will be less land available for farming. So the more it becomes narrower, our floodplain, then we are going to have less land to farm on. The yield obviously will reduce. Our products or our crops that are going to be produced, they are going to be reduced in number, will produce less. They will be difficult in building roads to transport the agricultural products. So it will be difficult because the land space is less, and it will be so difficult for us to build road transport to transport these agricultural products. Then it will be difficult to access water from higher ground. So that forms as a result of the narrowing of the original floodplain. So that was the answer that we're supposed to write there. Then we go to 2.4. 2.4 was based on a fluvial course, which is a river profile there. It shows us a certain river profile. So you can see there the upper course, the middle course, and the lower course. So here, grade 12, they say, would the flow in the upper course, listen, will the flow in the upper course of the river be characterized as turbulent or laminar? So you have to choose, and we know that in the upper course, the turbulent flow is dominant there, is taking place. So the answer is turbulent there. Provide evidence from the diagram to substantiate your answer in question 2.4.1. There is steep gradient. Now the gradient is steep, so because of a steep gradient we get a turbulent flow. The river valley is narrow and steep, so still the same thing. And you can also say that the river channel in the upper course, it is uneven, it is not graded. Yes. 2.4.3, define the term cross or transverse profile. There's a difference between transverse and longitudinal. Now the transverse profile, grade 12, it is a cross view or the view of a river from one riverbank to the other riverbank or to the opposite riverbank. Is still fine. That was a definition for 2 marks then. 2.4.4, refer to the middle and the lower course of the river. Which of the following cross profiles represents the middle and the lower course respectively? Now the word respectively, it means that you must write C and give what type of cross profile does it represent, and C what type of profile does it represent. So now you can see, now C represents the middle and A is the one that represents the lower. You can see, look at the valley. Now C obviously is the middle and A, you can see it is widely open, so it becomes the lower course there. Describe the shape of the valley in the middle and the lower course. Now in the middle it is U-shaped, you can see it's U-shaped, and in the lower it is opened or a wider U-shape. So you can't say it's U-shaped, but you can say it's open or a wider U-shaped. The last question there in 2.4, 2.4.5, explain the fluvial process throughout the river course result in the formation of the valley shape of the lower course described in 2.4.4b. Now we have to explain the fluvial processes that lead into that type of a U-shape, an open, wider U-shaped valley. Now we'll say the process of erosion, which is vertical in the upper course and lateral in the middle course, creates sediments. So sediments will be created through the process of erosion in the upper through the process of erosion, and then eroded sediments are transported from the upper course and middle course to the lower course. The river volume and speed decreases in the lower course and results in more deposition. The transported sediments are then deposited on the riverbed in the lower course, which reduces the depth of the valley. So the valley's depth is going to be reduced by what? By these deposited sediments. So that was the answer that you're supposed to write there, and that was the last question in 2.4.5. Any questions may be posted on this video, the comment section. 2.5 now, guys, this is one and another thing that you must know in paper 1. The last question is usually these catchment areas or river management. Now I'm not going to read about Durban there. You will read in your question paper as you have read in the exam to save time. 2.5.1, it says define the term catchment management. Okay, now this is more like river management. So catchment management is balancing the use and conservation of natural resources in a catchment area, while river rejuvenation is balancing the use of and conservation of natural resources in a catchment area. So there's definitions were accepted like that. 2.5.2, that was a definition, 2 marks. 2.5.2, identify the human contribution to the flooding in Durban from the article. So this one we have to take from the article. So what how are the humans contributing to flooding in Durban? The planting of alien invader plants or vegetation. They also litter, which lead into land pollution. That was the answer to 2.5.2. 2.5.3, use evidence from the pie graph to explain why the eThekwini has found it challenging to maintain catchment areas. Now the eThekwini municipality only has 23% of Durban rivers. So it has only 23. That's the evidence that they are finding it challenging. The ownership of rivers, the most of it is owned by traditional authorities. Now 2.5.2, why is the maintenance of catchment areas financially important for the eThekwini municipality? Because a well-maintained catchment area results in 4 billion revenue for the municipality every year. So it generates for them income. Now 2.5.5, in a paragraph of approximately 8 lines, propose 4 ways in which the eThekwini municipality can ensure that residents of Durban can be encouraged to assist in the catchment management. So you propose, so you give possible solutions or possible strategies that this municipality can use, looking at the problem that you are having at hand currently. So we say here, encourage residents to create buffer zones close to the rivers, encourage the planting of trees and vegetation. So that is what they can encourage the residents to do. Encourage conservation of wetlands, encourage recycling of waste as alternative to dumping in rivers. Instead of them dumping into rivers, they will have to recycle bottles, plastics, all those things, all those waste products. Create awareness campaigns about catchment management, educate the residents on sustainable practices, impose fine for polluting. We've been seeing these ones where they say illegal dumping fine is 200, 500 or 10,000 whatsoever. So impose fines for polluting. Cooperation between different owners of rivers, the traditional authority, the municipality, and private owners of rivers, they should work together. Provision of bins for waste disposal, so they can put bins. You remember there are those metal steel bins that they are used to put in different areas. They can provide bins so that people can put, or can they throw their waste inside the bins rather than throwing them in the what we call in the rivers. That was it for question 2, Geomorphology, for trial examination paper 1 2023 in Gauteng. Let's look at question 3, grade 12. Now question 3, it's section B, our geographical skills and techniques. This is question 3, section B. So this information I've placed here is very important. So our paper 1, we were dealing with Lanesberg. Lanesberg was our map that you were given. Lanesberg is situated in the north N1 road in the Western Cape of South Africa. So this is very important. You can see the information there is given on what, based on rivers, and what information is basically on paper 1 content. Now, the first question there, 3.1, is map skills and calculations, and we know that it costs us around 10 marks. Now, the first one was multiple choice, refer to the topographic map. 3.1.1, the altitude of a reservoir located at F is in block A on the topographic map is meters. So the answer there is 780 meters, which is D. Then 3.1.2, the feature located at 33 degrees 11 minutes 32 seconds south and 20 degrees 51 minutes and 4 seconds east on the topographic map is so they were changed correctly there. It is not 20 there, it's 38. So that was an errata that you received, that is not 20, is that is not 32. Oh, that is not 32, it's 38. Yes, it is 38, sorry. The 20 is fine, it was 38 that was wrong there. So the answer there is B, the hospital. And then 3.1.3, calculate the length of the bridge of the national road in situ on the topographic map in meters. So we're supposed to calculate in meters. So that was a smaller length of that bridge, which is 0,4. So we take the range between 0,3 to 0,5. So in meters we multiply by 500, and then 0,4, for example, multiplied by 500 gives you 200 meters. Then your range of answers is from 150 to 250 meters. If you are between 200, you are between 150 to 250 meters, you are still correct. Then 3.1.4, it was calculation of gradient. Now this gradient was very nice because they've already calculated for you the vertical interval, which is your h. We had to calculate the horizontal equivalent, and then you finish it up. So the vertical interval is 80.5 meters. So the distance there, it is between the trick station 103 and 0.6 on the orthophoto. The map distance there, it was 4,1. So we take from 4 up to 4,2. So it was 4,1 multiplied by 100 because we want our answer in meters. Then we get our answer is 410. Remember, after getting our answer is 410, then we take the VI and the HE, we put them as a ratio and divide by the height in both sides so that we can get 1:5,09. So there's a range also there. And then you are asked to draw a freehand cross section of slope between trigonometric station 103 and 0.6 in block D4 on the orthophoto map extract. Now that was a convex shape of that cross section. Now mine is a line that is straight, but you see that the line is not straight, but it's just going something like this. Now 1 mark for that correct shape. 1.3.1.6, identify the slope of the cross section drawn. As I've said, it's a convex slope there. So that was it for that question. Then 3.2 grade 12, it's map interpretation, and it contributed 12 marks. Now 3.2.1, Golden Navel experiences frost forecast during the night because of its location. So we are referring to the settlement of Goldenville. Yeah. So now the answer to that one, it's a valley in its valley location. B, the wind that develops at night in block C4 is an katabatic winds. How will the steep slope north of Liensberg impact the wind? Identify. It will be stronger or faster. There will be gravitational pull, or we can say there will be downward movement of wind. So the wind will be forced to move down, and it can also be faster then. Number 2, question 3.2.2, we are referring to the area indicated with the black dot in B5 on the topographic map. A says identify the predominant drainage pattern of the area indicated as H in the block B5 on the topographic map. That was a parallel drainage pattern. B, describe the underlying rock structure that is responsible for the drainage pattern identified in 3.2.2. So the underlying rock structure of a parallel stream pattern, it is uniform rock structure, resistant to resistant rock structure, and it develops on hills and ridges. And also we can say it is steep. Then we go to question 3.2.3, where we are to refer to the area indicated as J in blocks B1, B2, A1, and A2 on the topographic map. Now the first thing that we are asked there is to calculate the stream order at J in block B1. That was a third stream order. The teachers will show you how we got the stream order, because I don't have a map. I didn't put a map here. Explain how the first order streams in the area indicated by J is an evidence of a dendritic drainage pattern, because there must be there must be many first order streams that will result in the development of second order streams, then third order streams. So we can also say that there are many streams, many first order streams that result into dendritic patterns. There, still correct. The diagrams here, they're not visible, but you will see them in your question paper. They're visible, those two. They say, which of the following diagram represents a cross section from point 7 to point 8 on an orthophoto map? It was A there. The answer was A. Identify the fluvial slope element at 7 and 8. So 7, it was undercut slope or cut off slope or a river cliff, and 8, it is slip off slope. That was the end of our map interpretation. So you see, map interpretation, they'll always ask you things that are in climate and things that are in geomorphology in paper 1. And then the last question there, grade 12, it is the GIS, which contributes with 8 marks. So now the first question says, they say here, Landsberg was partially destroyed within minutes in a flash flood after a cloud burst in 1981. Refer to the following image of the railway bridge and block C3 on the topographic map. Now, 3.3.1, the image above is classified as a map. So it is classified as an oblique. We can't say it's an orthophoto map, it's an oblique, which is C. 3.3.2a, can the photo above be identified as low or high resolution? Now, we said high resolution because we can see the buildings there. Explain your answer. It's because the image is clear and not blur. We can see there the buildings there, they can see the bridge there, so it is high resolution. 3.3.3a, define the term buffering. Buffering is an area that surrounds one or more map features used to indicate boundaries around a specific feature. Yes, that is the definition of 2 marks. And then the last question there, it is give evidence from the topographic map that buffering was implemented after the 1981 flood as a strategy to prevent the same scale of damage during the future flooding. Now, the golf course and the recreational area were built on the photograph in the floodplain to prevent development of houses. So this one, you can see it on the topographic map clearly. Another thing here, cultivated lands located on the floodplain, and there's an open space or trees between rivers and houses. That was question 3.3 based on Geography Information System of paper 1 trial examination 2023. I hope this lesson, I hope these corrections are going to help you. Sit down with your question paper, sit down with your book, and try and answer these questions and check and listen to this recording, the reasons why those answers were given like that. I hope you have understood the lesson. Hope you're going to have a lovely day. This is from me, KHUMALO.M, the Geography Sangoma, signing out. See you on paper 2 corrections. Have a lovely day.